Oh, welcome back to FAWKES News. Let's get serious today. These are serious times that we're living in. But before we get serious, if you were one of our audio listeners, which 99.9% of you are, this is a brand new podcast channel stemming from our old channel, Failure to Stop. Most of you guys have transferred from Failure to Stop over to Fox, but some of you are new. So here's the thing. If everybody on our downloads put a 5-star rating and review, we would be on the charts 100%. So if everybody that listened to this show gave us a 5-star rating and review, we would literally be on the charts. So if you're one of our audio listeners on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is, what's some of the other ones? Podbean, whatever. If you give us a rating and review right now, if you stop what you're doing, just hit pause for a second. It's free. Not asking for your money, just asking for a 5-star rating and review. We will literally be trending on the charts, and we would love to be on the charts right now. And I'm so impressed of how this show is doing audio number wise. I focus a lot on YouTube, even though we have like zilch on YouTube. We do have a bunch of people in the live chat today. That's great. So you YouTubers, I need you to hit subscribe. I need you to scroll down to subscribe and hit the little ring-a-ding-a-dinger, the little ring-a-ding-a-ding-a bell so that you get notified, and then share this on your social media. It doesn't matter if you have 10 followers on your social media. The algorithm doesn't care. All they want to see is that you have shared this show, and that will help us grow. But I'm excited to see the audio numbers in the last just over 30 days, 28 days that we've been on this new FAWKES podcast channel. So I'm excited. I've got some wind in my sails, and I want to see this thing do good. So if everybody listening gives me a 5-star rating and review, FAWKES News will be on the charts. And then I'll take pictures and put it out there that's on the charts. So that's really exciting. Today's show is brought to you by shieldbox.com and ghostbed.com. Just in time for Christmas, you got the Shieldbox subscription. It's awesome. I've opened up like 2 Shieldbox. I thought I brought one in here. I did. I brought one right over here. I'll open it up later. I'll open up the Shieldbox later. Let you see what's inside of it. It's like a $55 a month subscription, and you're going to be able to redo your entire kit. If you're a law enforcement officer, security guard, church security, these are things that you can test out and try, and you don't really have to break the bank. These are like over $100 value boxes that you're getting for $55. Plus, it's like Christmas all the time. You're like, what am I going to get? New hat, new knife, new flashlight, pouches, rip hobbles, spit hoods. You never know what you're going to get in those packages, and that's what makes them so much fun. And then, of course, we have ghostbed.com. Sleep so good it's scary. I always say that mental wellness and mental health starts with a good night's sleep, and that's why we're partnered with a company that's made in the good old USA like Ghostbed. So appreciate all of you. I'm also wearing my Red Ninja 3 hat from Red Ninja Memes. They are now a part of our network, the Fox Media Group network, along with several other shows that you should go check out. We'll talk about that later. But first and foremost, Josh, we've got a big show today. And I hate to say it, Josh. I hate to say this, but I was right. I'm always right when it comes to World War III and what is going on. You have to pay attention because I pull from multiple news sources from around the world to try to get the whole picture. I'm calling and talking to guys that are serving special operations. I just talked to a buddy of mine who's been volunteering in Ukraine. He's giving me kind of, he's super pro Ukraine, but he also admits that there's some nefarious journalism going on there, and that maybe it's not going the way that we think it's going here in the United States. Again, I'm not pro-Russia. Let me throw it out there. Been anti-Russia since Rocky, 4 or 5? Whenever he fought the Russian, I've been anti-Russia ever since. I've been anti-Russia since that hockey movie back in the 80s, the Olympics movie. All right? I'm not a Russia. I've hated Russia since Rambo went in there and rescued all those POWs, or whatever he did, and whatever Rambo that was. I think it was 3. Maybe it was 2. I don't know. No, that wasn't Russia. Yeah, he fought the Russians in Afghanistan, right? Or was he just fighting the Mujahideen or something? I don't remember. But point being, guys, is I'm not a huge Russian fan. But right now, my big fear is, Josh, is that they're going to burn it all down on the way out. The Democrats, the left, and the right, big establishment government, big daddy government is going to burn it all down before Trump can take office. And I want to show you the receipts to that. That's what this show's all about, showing you receipts, not just giving you my opinion, but let me show you why I feel this way. Also, I want to talk about who's Matt Gaetz. Is he a real POS? Or is there a little bit more to that story? Is there more to that story? Maybe, maybe not. Don't judge a book by its cover, but also don't judge me for this intro and just assume what side I'm going to take here, because I do think that all politicians are crappy. And listen, I've been to some of these parties and I see what's going on in some of these parties. All right. And I don't like it. And I don't go to those parties anymore because of it. Right. Like I've only done like 3 or 4 of them, but I thought each one was going to be different. And I was let down. And I've alluded to it on this show over the years on Failure to Stop. I've alluded to what's going on at these parties and what I've seen and how I refused to sign the NDA and they let me into the party anyway. And I'm still nice. I'm still not like disclosing all at all because, you know, these weren't like game-changing politicians or anything, but they were kind of elite folks. They were very wealthy folks, very prominent figures in their communities. And I was extremely disappointed in them for what I saw. So I'm not going to say that I 100% Matt Gaetz, but I also do believe that this is more of that political persecution. And I want to go into it over the years and how that just all of a sudden these sexual assault, these sexual harassment, these text messages, these comments that don't really add up. They don't really make sense. They always come out right around the election season. And it's because they don't really care about the victims. They just care about not letting these people get voted back in. And I think that's just as big of a story as anything else. Also, I want to talk about the FBI warning about Kash Patel potentially being Trump's possible FBI pick. And, you know, briefly, because I want to get into it in depth, Josh, but I mean, briefly, let me just say that if the FBI is scared of somebody that Trump is picking, my response to that is good. That's what I want. I want the FBI, who has been insanely corrupt over the last 20 years. I want them to be afraid from all the things. I want all of our 3-letter agencies and 4-letter agencies to be afraid. I think it is time that these 3-letter agencies learn that they, like law enforcement officers, are working for us, not the other way around. And they have pit themselves against us as the enemy. And there are lots of examples. I remember that case breakdown that we did where the ATF officer is going to check on a legal ATF background check that didn't come back. And as the rules were written, that if you put in an ATF, a trace firearms form, and it doesn't come back in a certain amount of time because the ATF is backlogged or whatever, then you get to have that permit. And then the ATF follows up. And it's very simple follow-up. And we remember the case where the ATF agent shows up and he's knocking on the door, but he doesn't really identify himself. And the neighbors call 911 and the police officer gets there and the police officer tells him to let me see the hands. And the FBI agent gets extreme attitude, doesn't show his credentials, doesn't do what he's supposed to do. And I believe he was tased. Was he not? Josh, do you remember that case?
One in Columbus, Ohio, I believe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe so. Yep.
And he was 100% in the wrong there. 100% in the wrong. It's because they have in their brains that they were above everybody else. So good. My answer to that is good. Also, we got on the docket for today. I love this clip. I'm only going to play the clip. I don't think we're going to get into it very much, but it's a fun clip to watch. It was from The View of them talking about the Matt Gaetz case, and then they have to do this like very legal reading. And she's such a little cotton ninny. What did they say on the TV series on the movie Elf? A cotton-headed ninny muggins or whatever. She was a real cotton-headed ninny muggins, Josh. She was a very pouty. Oh, I have to just say that he's not guilty. You know what I mean? Almost just like asking to be made fun of and asking to become a meme. And hey, listen, you've heard me say it on this show 1,000 times. Don't be a meme. Don't be a meme. I try very hard. I go every day of my life. I'm always on the interwebs. I'm always on the Instagrammies. I'm doing all these things. And I literally in the back of my head, I'm like, try not to be a negative meme. All right. So that's what we have in store for the show today. Before we get into the show today, I would like to take a minute to say thank you for everybody who has pre-ordered my book, Pig Latin, A Seriously Funny True Story. Even though the book doesn't come out until August, Simon Schuster, who I've signed the book deal with, went ahead and published the book on Barnes & Noble, on Books A Million, on Amazon. But listen, when this book releases, big surprise here, it is going in every single Costco, every single Target, and every single Hudson's bookstore. That's a part of my book deal that I have with Simon Schuster. And I think I'm allowed to say that part. I'm just not allowed to say other parts about the book deal. It's very confusing on what I'm allowed to say and I'm not allowed to say, but I'm pretty sure I'm allowed to say that. You heard it first. But is this going to be one of the bigger releases? It's the number one release for summer of 2025. It is the summer release for Simon Schuster. So I'm absolutely thrilled for this. Like, it's very exciting as a first-time author. It was their first police comedy, and I think that's why. I think it was it's a very funny book. It's one of the funniest book that any of the editors read, according to them. Now, they might be blowing smoke up my butt, but it was nice to hear them say that, like, the reason why we're giving you a book deal like this as a first-time author is because, one, we have no other books in this genre, and two, this is literally one of the funniest books we've ever read. It's apolitical, so it's not very political. It can go in every section. It can go in the action section. It can go in the comedy section. So very exciting. And for you guys that are ordering the book now, because you've been following Failure to Stop for the last 4 years, and I thank you for that. If you pre-order this book and you're giving the pre-order as a gift for Christmas, like a lot of you are, which is strange, and I feel bad. That's why I came up with this. I feel bad. Like, I mean, I love that, but I know what it's like to get a gift that you can't play with. Like, imagine opening a gift from your loved one and it's like, I got you Piglet in this book, but you're not even going to get it until August. And you're like, damn, thanks. Merry Christmas to me. So what I thought was, if that's really what they wanted for Christmas, then they probably would want me to do a cameo for them. So all you have to do is screenshot it, get in contact with me on Eric Tanzi Official on Instagram, or Failure to Stop on Instagram, or Fox News, FAWKES News on Instagram, or you can find me on Eric Tanzi on Facebook. Get a hold of me, or hit me in the live chats on the YouTubes, and I will send you a cameo video personal to your phone. We can text back and forth on Christmas Day. I will call on Christmas Day and FaceTime if that's really what that person wants me to do. So all you have to do is, if that's how you're going to purchase the book. But I'm not going to go hard on selling this book until closer to August. That's when my marketing budget even kicks in. So the reason why it's out early, guys, the reason why it's out so early, because a lot of you are asking, that's why I'm bringing this up in the podcast, is because 60 books went out to celebrities and influencers, and there has to be a place for them to give reviews. So then when my marketing budget kicks in March or April, people that go to Amazon and Books A Million and Barnes and Noble, and they start researching this book from book clubs, there's already a whole bunch of reviews. Does that make sense? Josh, does that make sense?
Yep.
So again, I'm not really trying to push the book. I don't care if you buy it now. I don't expect you to buy it now. But I'm saying is, a lot of you are messaging me, and I just wanted to clear the air on that. Last thing before we get started is Helene documentary. Guys, it's getting big. The Helene documentary that I'm shooting with Foss Studios, Foss Media out of Michigan. Now, this was Ken. This is the son of Mike the cop I'm working on this with. And his partner, James, his not life partner, but his work partner, James. And they are funding the entire documentary and allowing all the proceeds of the documentary to go right back into the hands of those in Western North Carolina. We now are getting the trailer to Glenn Beck's people. And we're doing a tour with them of the area, of all the areas. I don't want to say exactly where we're going to be for operational security purposes, but I am taking them on a private tour of all the damaged and affected areas. They're going to film with us, allow us to film with us, and they're going to help us in a myriad of ways to get the truth of this documentary out. And that is awesome. And even if, like, it's just like kind of underground help, like just some like, advice, or, I don't know. I don't know what kind of help they're going to give us, but the fact is that I get to spend, and I think the director of Mercury One is actually going to spend Thanksgiving with us and the people of Swananoa, North Carolina. So again, Mercury One really putting their heart where their mouth is. They're not just doing things for clout. They are in this to win this. They're also bringing us a lot of the things that we need for some people out there that we put in a request. So I'm just really proud of that whole program of Mercury One, badges and boxes, Sentinel Foundation, Save Our Allies. All these guys are working together. Weekend Warriors, that group, there's some Jeep groups, Rubicon Droop groups, Cajun Navy, just so many selfless servants that are out there. And a lot of these selfless servants that are not from the government, which is crazy, because we thought there would be a lot more assistance, a lot more help out there. But they're not even telling you what the death toll is. And that begs the question, why? And so we've got some whistleblowers Speaking of whistleblowers, the FEMA whistleblower that we covered earlier this week, she's now, what did she just testify before Congress? Josh?
It wasn't her. It was another administrator that testified in front of Congress. They didn't send the directors. They just put an admin person up there. So even the person that they sent was kind of a nobody person.
Right, like a plausible deniability. Yesterday, I went and shot with the Office Joe show. So they're doing some more ads, and we did this huge skit, and it was a very funny skit. And I couldn't get my words right. There was a couple of words in there. Like I couldn't say reporting as ordered. I kept saying reported as ordered or reported as ordered, or like I just couldn't say it. And then there was another word, consigliere. I couldn't say that. It was like consigliere, concierge. I couldn't say it. Like literally every time my lines came up, I could not say. Now I can say it. Consigliere. No, I still can't say it. So never mind. All right, Josh, that's enough. That's enough of the shenanigans. Let's get into today's show, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, give us a 5-star rating review. Here we go. What's the first story we got in the day? I've said this from the beginning. Putin. This was going to turn into World War III. And everybody used to say, Eric, you know that your rhetoric towards the Ukraine war is the kind of thing that gets us into World War III. And I said, well, this is bonkers, because the only thing that I've asked is, I told you when we pulled out of Afghanistan, first of all, let me go all the way back, Josh. And you know, right? Like you wouldn't lie to our fans. I wouldn't lie to our fans. So if I am making this up, then you call me out on it. And I won't pay you this month. I'm just joking. Call me out if you don't remember this. If you truly don't remember this, because somebody will go back and research it and find it, or find that I didn't say it. But if you remember right after the Trump lost the election 4 years ago, I literally said, and I tweeted, and I put on my Facebook, you can go back to that day after, I think it was like this January, whatever, 21st or whatever it was. I literally wrote, big government is back. It's time for more big wars. They have to have the big wars. Shortly after that, we have a massive Afghanistan pullout debacle. By the way, Mercury 1's the one that sent that C-17 over with Save Our Allies to rescue all those people. That's the same Mercury 1 I'll be with all next week. I mean, I'm so proud to be, like, the fact that they heard our call and are answering that call. I don't know if that's Jesus Christ himself, God himself doing this. I don't know. I don't really know what's going on, what world I'm living in, what universe, but all I can say is, like, I can give it John Jones. Like, I want to thank Jesus Christ for this, because I really do feel like these are answered prayers for me. But that same Afghanistan pullout that was so terrible that Mercury 1 had to go in with Save Our Allies and rescue our interpreters and our allies and key people in Afghanistan that we fought 20 years to protect. That same Afghanistan pullout, I literally tweeted again, Facebooked again, did a podcast again where I said, okay, if they're pulling out of Afghanistan, what's the next big war? Are we going back to Iraq, or are we going to war with North Korea? That's what my guess was. Little did I know, because I wasn't into political news so much as I am now, that we were going to directly go right into Ukraine. But as soon as we went into Ukraine, and I told you guys, I literally said on here, this was it. This was the whole plan. The military industrial complex is back. Trump had no wars. Trump didn't. Look, you came from Obama dropping a record number of bombs, record number of munitions over in the Middle East. And then we have Trump that does really nothing as far as global war on terrorism goes, except has some kind of a weird, strange, stagnant peace where he kind of ends ISIS. You know, he drops one big giant JDAM to kind of send a message. He's having talks with Putin. He's having talks with Kim Jong-un. He's having Xi Jinping. And then all of a sudden, the Democrats are losing their mind because he's doing the right thing. And then that's why I knew that with all of this added up, that the military industrial complex was a real thing, and that this was all a ploy and a plot to get us back into big war so that we could line some more rhino Republicans, some more big Democrat, big government pockets. That's what this was all about. I mean, Trump is the antithesis. Like, he is the opposite of that. At least that's what he appears to be. Now, I don't know. Time will tell. He's got some big shoes to fill. And again, I'm going to hold him accountable to all the things that he says he's going to do. But I'm only going off of his past track record, and I'm going off of what I see now. And I've said it before too on this show, is that, the whole Dick Cheney thing going over to the left is a huge indicator of where this is going, because the left hated Dick Cheney. Now the left loves Dick Cheney, which means the left and the right were always the same thing. We all knew that. So now, hold on. I have to wrap this up. So now I told you all of that in the beginning, guys. And then I told you that they would have to kill, like that it was getting too close for Trump to be president, and that they were going to have to either kill him or they were going to have to start World War III. Those were their two options. But I told you they were not going to let him be president. There's no way, no how they're going to let Donald Trump be the president of the United States. It's not going to happen. Don't get your hopes up. That's what I said. And a lot of you guys are like, you're wrong, but I'm not. Because after I said that, the very next week they tried to kill Trump. And a lot of you guys messaged me and DM'd me back when we were still on Failure to Stop as one channel, before we separated the two, kept one law enforcement, one news. We were doing news and law enforcement on one page. Failure to Stop. You guys commented, you guys messaged me, private messaged me, and commented, "Wow, Eric, the FBI should be investigating you, because you literally said that they have to kill him and they have to do it like now. Like Biden is moving out, that whole thing." I was like, they have to do it now. If they don't kill him now, they lose this election, or they'll have to go with plan B or plan C. And they literally tried to kill him twice. Okay. So I was right again. Then he gets elected. Whew, didn't see that coming. I did not see that coming. So all the thing that we have left, remember what I said in June, World War III, or they're going to kill him. Well, killing him didn't work. We only have one other option, guys, and it's World War III. I wasn't making this stuff up. I wasn't being hyperbolic. I've been following this for 4 years now. And if you've put the puzzle pieces together, I know I'd like to be wrong. I would love to be wrong on this. I don't want my children fighting in this war. I don't want to leave my family of 5 to go fight this war. And I know I will. I know I'll leave. I'll pack up today and tomorrow. I will go fight World War III, even though I don't believe it was a justly thing. But I love America more than anything else. And so I am going to keep fighting to keep it free, no matter what, even if I'm in my 40s. I don't do jujitsu and train with my firearms for nothing. Now we have Biden. Let me read you this. Let me show you the receipts. This was from over a week ago. And I promise you guys in the live chats, I see there's 94, there's 94 comments right here that just popped up, 95 now. I'm going to go to you guys in just a second. This was from over a week ago from CBS News. Russian President Vladimir Putin warned Thursday that a decision by the U.S. or its NATO allies to allow Ukraine to use Western-supplied long-range missiles to hit targets deep inside Russia would be viewed as NATO's direct participation in the war, which he said would significantly change the very nature of the conflict. Flight assignments for these missile systems can, in fact, only be entered by military personnel from NATO countries. You can't fire these things without a code, and it's a NATO code. So a NATO person has to give somebody the code or has to put the code in. Either way, that's NATO being directly involved. Ukrainian service member cannot do this, and therefore it is not a question of allowing the Ukrainian regiment to strike Russia with these weapons or not. It is a question of making a decision whether NATO countries directly participate in military conflict or not, Putin said in response to a question on Thursday. Quote, if this decision is made, it will mean nothing less than the direct participation of NATO countries, the United States and European countries in the war in Ukraine, he added. And we all know what he said he would do if NATO or American countries got involved. He's been saying it from the beginning. And here's the funny, crazy thing about this, Josh, is literally Putin has said everything he said, don't you do it. Don't you do it. He has been extremely, extremely patient and generous. We would not tolerate this in Cuba. We didn't. Go back to Operation Northwoods. If this was going on the Mexican border, we would not allow this. So it would be foolish to expect Putin to put up with it as well. This was an economic war from the beginning. That we caused, that we started. If you really go back and you really try to be objective, and the sad thing is, Justice, we're not allowed to talk about this because they will remove you from YouTube, so I can't really go into it. I might have already gone into it too much by saying just that sentence, and YouTube will ding you, which we don't care about YouTube. We care about our audio listeners, And we're going to do another audio episode where I will tell you in detail exactly what the financial responsibility, how there was a coup. Well, all right, listen, I've said too much. I really not trying to catch a YouTube ban, but let's do this, Josh. Let's you and I, maybe tomorrow, we'll do just an audio only. So go over and follow us audio only. I promise. I shouldn't promise. A lot of shit comes up in my life. I will do the best I can tomorrow to do a solid breakdown of the Ukraine, how we got involved in the Ukraine war. And objectively, I will do one objectively. I will give you both sides. I'll say what their argument is, but I will show you the evidence that this was an economic war that we had to get involved in because we had to line our pockets. Now, this whole Ukraine thing, I just read you. That's what he said a week ago. Remember, everything that Putin has said, don't you do it. Don't you give them fighter jets. Don't you do it. We gave them fighter jets. Don't you invade over here near Crimea. Don't you fucking do it. Yeah, we did it. Don't you mess with our boats. Yeah, we did it. Here we go. This is this week. CNN, Ukraine hit a Russian weapon arsenal with U.S.-made ATACMS missiles that have fired across the border for the first time, according to 2 U.S. officials, in a major escalation on the 1,000th day of the war, which just happens to be right after Trump gets elected and gets the popular vote, which, by the way, they're still pulling in votes from California because they can't give it up. The attack comes just 2 days after the Biden administration gave Kyiv the green light to use the long-range American weapons against targets inside Russia, which it's funny if you follow CNN, if you follow BBC, if you follow all these left-wing that they have been all in for the last 4 years, all in on everything that Biden has done, and that camel toe, Kamala, whatever her name is, they have been all in on all the things that they've said, and they have worshipped all of their military decisions. But now that Trump's in, they're starting to say, oh, this is an unnecessary escalation of force in Ukraine. It's an unnecessary, and it is. Everything has been an unnecessary escalation. Russia's defense ministry said that Ukraine fired 6 ballistic missiles at a facility in Bryansk at 3:25 a.m. local time, 7:25 p.m. Eastern time, Tuesday, and the ATACMS missiles had been used in the attack. The attack marks the first time Ukraine has used the longer-range American weapons to strike targets deep inside Russia, and shows that Kyiv has wasted little time in making use of a newly granted powers. So they get the powers, immediately they abuse them, and now what does this lead to? Well, also yesterday, so this happened at 3:25 in the morning. By mid-afternoon yesterday, Vladimir Putin approved changes to his country's nuclear doctrine this week, formally amending the conditions. By the way, this is coming from CBS News. I'll put all these links down in the YouTube for you guys so that you can reference them yourselves. Russian President Vladimir Putin approved changes to his country's nuclear doctrine. And I'm sorry, let me pull this picture up of the so you can see what I'm reading here. Formally amending the conditions and lowering the threshold, making the threshold for nuclear war lower. Raise of hands, anybody in the chats who thinks that's a good fucking idea. Lowering the thresholds. Who think that's a good idea? Raise your hands in the chat. A yes for a raised hand, no for a not raised hand. You can tell I listen to too many podcasts. I think there's a lot of other podcasts that do that same thing, like in the comments. But if but it is fun. Listen, and sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to get in the comments and say yes or no. Moscow announced Tuesday that Putin had signed off on the changes to the doctrine formerly known as the basics of state policy in the field of nuclear deterrence. This is really important as Ukraine launches first strike deeper into Russia. And let me skip down. The updated doctrine states that Russia will treat an attack by a non-nuclear. So basically one of those ATACMSs. Actually, yes, it is ATACMS is. Make sure I have my analogy right, my acronym right. By non-nuclear state that it is supported by a country with nuclear capabilities as a joint attack by both. What he's saying, Big Bird to Cookie Monster style, is that if you send one of these ATACMSs from a nuclear country, right? So these missiles coming from NATO countries that have nuclear powers, if you send one of these and it comes from a country that has nuclear power, which they did, then that means any attack on Russia by a country that part of its coalition could be seen as an attack by the entire group. Under the doctrine, Russia could theoretically consider any major attack on its territory, even with conventional weapons by non-nuclear armed Ukraine, sufficient to trigger a nuclear response. Sufficient to trigger a nuclear response because Ukraine is backed by nuclear armed United States. If you're not prepared to wake up and your alarm clock isn't red, it's blacked out. You look over down the hallway to where you have the little light that's emanating from your washer and dryer, but it's not eliminating. And you pick up your phone has zero service. It doesn't even say SOS. It's just nothing. It's just a screen at this point. And you notice that your air conditioner or your heater fan isn't kicked on. The fan that you turned on before you went to sleep, if you don't have a ghost bed, because if you have a ghost bed, you don't need a fan because it's got that cooling technology. You stay cool all night while staying hot and hard all night. You're going to realize very quickly that I was not being hyperbolic and that I wasn't joking with what's coming down the pipeline. They will not allow Donald Trump to be president. Maybe you call me Noah and I'm building a boat and you're like, you're crazy. If you're not prepared right now, if you don't have a plan in place of who you're going to go find first, if you're at work, how do you get home to your family? Does your family stay in place? Do they come to get you? How long before they come to find you? How long before they go to their second spot? Maybe you live in the middle of the country and this doesn't affect you, but I bet it does. But I bet you know somebody who does. I bet you could pick up that phone and call your brother, call your cousin, call your niece, call your nephew and say, hey, if this is going to happen, how do you want this to work out? Do you have a plan? Do you have backup ammunition? Do you have a tribe that you run with that you can meet up? And don't forget, do you have atlas maps for where you want to go? These are simple things. I'm not telling you to be a prepper and prep all the food. There'll be tons of food along the way. There'll be guns and ammo along the way as well. I promise you. But do you have the minimal to survive? Do you have the good sleeping bags for each one of your family members? Do you have a plan on how you're going to put towels in place over your windows? Do you have a plan? Do you have atlas maps so that you can drive to go see your mother in Florida or whatever it is? Do you have these small details? Do you have matches? Do you have kindling? Do you have things that you can burn? These are things you should start really preparing for, folks. And I'm not trying to scare you. I'm being real serious with you right now because this has been escalating and you can see the writing on the wall. And if you keep saying, don't do it, what do we learn on Failure to Stop on our law enforcement show? How many times do we have to say, I'm going to shoot you. I'm going to shoot you. Stop. At some point, the cop stops saying stop and he fucking shoots you. That's why I always say, if a cop is saying stop, don't do it, I'll shoot you, he'll probably fucking shoot you. Go ahead, Josh.
Because with the writing on the wall, for the last 2 years, we have gone, hey, this is probably what's going to happen next if we don't tame things down. And then that happens. Like, okay, well, that thing that we said that was going to happen next happened. So if we don't do things, it's going to get worse. We cut off the war from Afghanistan. For the last 20 years before that, it was just money, money, money. There was no question, no audits, no nothing. The Pentagon, they can't pass an audit to save their life. So we have been hemorrhaging money. I'll go ahead and call it money laundering. We have been money laundering your U.S. tax dollars through Iraq and Afghanistan. So we cut that off. Well, all of these people still need to get paid. Fact check me on it. Go back and check. See how many senators and Republicans, Democrats, both sides of it. Go back and see how many of them bought stock in the Raytheon, bought stock in the Lockheed Martin, bought stock in all of these war companies that then turn around as soon as the Ukraine stuff kicks off. Their stocks go up. So guess what? They all made money. They all made money off the stocks, and they're going to continue to make money off of the money laundering. They're going to continue to send all your money over to Ukraine. We don't know what it's going for. There's no audit. There's no checks and balances on it. We've even put in the process that we don't want to know where this money's going. All the time, on the other side of the fence, Russia's going, hey, I'm this bear, and this kid in this pen with me, he's throwing rocks at me, and you need to stop. And we're like, nah, it's cool, man. It's cool. And we keep giving him bags of rocks, and he keeps throwing it at him. Well, now we got him a big old stick. And Russia's like, hey, man, if you swing that stick over here, I'm going to give what I believe is an appropriate response. So we give him the stick. And the next day, he swings the sticks and hits Russia. So if by the time we're done with this, there's an attack on U.S. soil, you would not surprise me one bit. If it happens by the end of the week, it would not surprise me one bit. If one of our ships or a U.S. ally or something overseas which according to Kamala Harris, we don't have anything deployed. But the ones that are deployed, if they are attacked, it would surprise me. You want to know why? Because Russia said, if you attack us with this, we're going to respond. So when they respond, I don't want to hear CNN, MSNBC, ABC, any one of those news, NPR, I don't want to hear one of them going, whoa, this isn't a non-appropriate response. Well, no, it is an absolute appropriate response. And if you say the United States and NATO is not responsible for it, who gets credit for all of the cleanup when FEMA's not there? All the people that actually go in and give the support. So if we're going over to Ukraine and we're giving the support, we get credit for it on the back end. So if that support is big ass missiles that are going to go blow up Russia, and Russia goes, hey, we're going to appropriately respond to that, and we're going to blow this thing up, or we're going to start this war with this, we're steamrolling towards a global conflict that we are antagonizing. Our country, our elected officials are antagonizing this. Maybe, I don't know, who's running the country? Who's really running the country?
So I have two theories, Josh. I have two theories.
He's making these decisions from the rainforest. That's my question. Well, who's in charge? Because the president's allowing yelling Ukraine to start a war from the Amazon rainforest. That I don't know. We have Western North Carolina to take care of, but let's go to Amazon.
I like that. What did he vow, like $100 million or something like that to the Amazon rainforest?
Well, 100 million while he was there, but he promised 500 million over the next 4 years.
Right. But while he's doing there, while he's in the rainforest, which by the way, his exit in the rainforest was hilarious, where he just walks off. They look like a fake staged rainforest anyway. Kind of look like the set of Gilligan's Island to me. So I got my questions there. But Josh, before we wrap this up and we move on to the next segment, which is the Matt Gaetz segment, there's only one other theory that I have with this sending these ATACMSs. I'm sorry, ATACMS is, because there's an S and then there's plural is on the end of that. I like to be correct-ish. And I want to get to these chats too, because there's somebody in the chats, Frank Rizzo, when Trump had no wars. I want to get to that in a second. But another part of me thinks that the allowing these rockets in there is like, one of two things. One, they want to start World War III, which I think is absolutely the case. That's what I personally believe.
Yep.
This is all to create a World War III scenario. So it really just impedes Trump in being able to do all the things that he wants to do, expose what he wants to do, get rid of, capitalize on government efficiency, et cetera, et cetera. Get rid of the Department of Education, which love the idea. It looks like it's happening. I'm excited. F the Department of Education. Plus, I love all the people that are tweeting and saying like, how dare you get rid of Department of Education, and they misspell everything. Like, that's hilarious. Like, now do you see the point? You see the point where we're getting rid of the Federal Department of Education because of like all your like ridiculous like solving of math problems and your ridiculous critical race theories and all the ridiculous shit that you're trying to push down on a federal level. I think schools are going to thrive and survive in the next 4 years with this. But that's what I think this World War III is for. But it could also be, hey, let's go ahead and launch these missiles and get everybody paid one last time before Big Daddy Trump takes us all away. Now, Frank Rizzo says Trump had no wars, so 37,000 that were killed in Yemen. By the way, the Yemen, and I'm not studied up so much on Yemen, but Yemen their civil war started in like 2014.
Well, and that comment is the same comment.
That conflict's been going on for a long time. Trump didn't get into office until 2017. And the only thing is he did was veto bills to not end what was already started in Yemen. Correct?
And I'm 90% sure that that's a bot comment because it's been sent by 3 different people.
Oh,
quote by quote the exact same everything. So.
Well, I love that. Yeah, you're gonna have to do better, bot, because I'm 99.9% sure that I'm right that Yemen civil war started maybe like in 2012, 13, 14, somewhere in that time frame. I was studying wine at the time. That's why I was up on the Yemen politics there and the Yemen civil war. And I could go on. I'm not going to nerd out on wine stuff, but in wine politics, just not going to do it. But anyway, that was already a war that was going on, that we were already involved in, that we were already helping out again. And then I think the only thing that Trump did was in 2017 when, I don't know when, but I know that Trump didn't end that Yemen civil war or do anything to end it. And I think that was what the big complaint was. Not studied up on it. Not going to go into it. I could be a little bit wrong. Hit me up in the chats if you got something else to say on that. Let me get these chats really quick before we jump on to the next subject. Murph530 says, I think Russia is really grandstanding. China would stay out of it. Then rely on our buying power. Putin is trying to survive until January. I mean, maybe, but he's got North Koreans who have all the munitions and enough, munitions they got more munitions than anybody in the world. North Korea has more mortars and artillery than anybody in the world. They've been stockpiling. That's their big thing. And now they've sent troops over to Russia. Is that a show of force? Not sure. But it's definitely something. And then, you have China already saying multiple times that they would back it. And then we have, the American propaganda media is just not putting out that they've surrounded Taiwan with aircraft carriers and everything else. And then America tries to downplay this whole thing. And then not to mention, we probably have already been invaded by China and Russia because we've had some crazy drone stuff flying over that they can't even identify who's the drones. And some of these drones have been flying over the same area for how many consecutive days, Josh?
So the story started with last couple days or last 48 hours, there have been drones that have been flying over the Pitnary Arsenal in Virginia. And they can't figure out who they're from. They've got the state police is up, the army's up. They're trying to figure out what these are from. Well, this morning because I've got people that live in that area, they're sending me information. So that's how I'm kind of up on that one. And I'm trying to find news articles to support what I'm getting on the ground, kind of like what we do, have the receipts to show you, hey, one, I'm not going to, if you're going to give stuff to me anonymously, I'm not going to out you. I'm going to try to keep that anonymous part as much as possible so I can confirm what you're telling me. But then we can say, look, we've got people on the ground that are telling us this, that backs up this news story. Well, I found a news story that in Langley, that's a pretty big, military base. Langley, Virginia, for 2 years, drones had swarmed that base. And at one point, they were over the base airspace for 17 straight days. 17 straight days.
Right. But propaganda media is not going to put this out there, just like they're not going to tell us about these Chinese weather balloons and all these other things, because they don't want to admit that we have already started World War III and that this is already going on. It's just a Cold War at this point. And it's all about strategic positioning. You've got these subs coming within 28 miles of Florida. You've got Chinese aircraft carriers crossing the American borders of Alaska. You've got planes buzzing by our planes and other armed Chinese fighter craft flying over American airspace towards Alaska. And the only way you can find this is through, Reddits and through kind of underground media. But here's the thing, even with this underground media, by the way, we're going to cover what Trump's doing with podcasts and saying that he's going to allow podcasters and YouTube media content providers in the media room in the White House. The thing is that that's the independent journalist. I actually had an argument with a journalist this week who hates me, absolutely hates me, would not have a real conversation without yelling. Which, it's so funny because it's like, it just proves all the rights points to, or the, I don't know, the Trumpians. I don't want to say right anymore because I don't feel like it's right. I mean, you got Elon Musk, who's pretty much a Democrat. You got RFK is a Democrat. You got Tim Pool who's a Democrat. Gabbard. You got Tulsi Gabbard's a Democrat. You got Donald Trump, who's a Democrat. You got Joe Rogan, who's a Democrat. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't believe in a right and left anymore. I think there's just a Trump. I think we have a third party. So the Trumpians, or whatever you want to call this new party, the reasonableness party is what I'm going to call it. You've got this reasonableness party who we're willing to have a conversation. We're willing to talk to you. We're willing to address the questions that you have. But the problem is that the people that are hard bent, mainly from the left, will not have these conversations without yelling at you and without storming off and walking out with a fit, even though that you're providing facts and they're providing hearsay, but then trying to say that I'm the one that's a poison to journalism and that she has a journalism degree and then she is a known protester. So she is the subject matter authority. And it was very hard. I felt like the whole time I was having a what should have been just an adult conversation, I felt like I was just trying to keep her in so that she wouldn't have a hissy fit and storm off, which she did twice. And the conversation went nowhere. But the problem is they have no facts to back any of these things up. And that kind of leads me into this next story with Matt Gaetz here is, Matt Gaetz appears on paper to be kind of a piece of shit. And the media has done a great job to do what the media has always done. And if you go like even on Wikipedia and you just type in like political sex scandals and you scroll down, I mean, the majority of them are going to be Republican sex scandals, the mass majority of them. I mean, if you look at the last 4 on the bottom, it's like Texas Republican, New York Republican, Florida Republican, North Carolina Republican. And all these accusations come from, years and years and years ago with no witnesses and no thing. And like, so one, it shows that probably the left is the one that likes to use this tool more than anybody else. And Nancy Pelosi said it best herself. Let me play the clip real quick and we'll jump in this. I think it really helps. You have to know this before we get on. Now, listen, I'm not saying any of these guys are innocent because I really, in my heart of heart, don't feel that they are innocent. I don't feel that any of these guys are innocent. Maybe Justice Kavanaugh, innocent. There's a few, right? And there's a few, but not all of them. I think a lot of these guys are not completely innocent. Let me play this Nancy Pelosi clip.
This, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we make. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we make.
So there you go. And I think both sides, I don't think that's just a left tactic. I think it's a left and a right tactic. And I think they do it a lot. I don't know what the answer to that is. I know that this argument that I had with this person from the left, who's a journalist and a protester, her whole thing is that journalists only get it wrong just as much as I get it wrong. I mean, I have the only time I've put my foot in my mouth on this whole show in 4.5 years of podcasting now, full-time, as a full-time career, being on the radio 6 days a week. The only real time that I can remember, the only significant time that I really put my foot in my mouth was talking about that golfer.
So I'll go ahead and put it out there. Here is the glaring difference between your background, my background, and hers. The background that we bring to independent investigative journalism and hers. We have actual investigative background where if we screw up, we lie, we try to manipulate the truth, we try to present things other than factual, we get held accountable. We get strung up in court. You get put on the Brady list, if not fired from your job, if not put in jail for lying, perjury, tampering with evidence, whatever you have to do. So when we're investigating things for fact. I don't care if your dog died and it makes you sad. I care that your dog died. Not the sad part. Yeah, I'll emotionally tell you that, well, I can empathize with you, but the factual point is the dog's dead. That's what I'm there for. Not one time have I seen a news article come out and just hammer down an opinion as a fact to come back and retract it, Russiagate, to come back and say that this thing that we said that wasn't true, Biden laptop, that turns out was true, Russiagate, and it wasn't true, and that all of the stuff that we put out there, we beat on this drum, Kavanaugh. We're not going to come back out on the other end and beat on the drum and go, look, we were so wrong. They're going to put 2 lines at the bottom of an article that has nothing to do with it and go, hey, that thing that we have been beating on for like the last 3 or 4 years, yeah, it turns out that's true and we were wrong. No one's going to jail. No one's losing their journal license. No one's going to be put on the, you can't broadcast for a little bit. No one's going to be put on the, you have to have your stuff extra edited. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. They give you a gold star, Pulitzer Prize, and let you go back out there tomorrow and do the same thing. That's the difference between independent journalism that we're presenting and these journalists. Okay, hold us accountable. We're asking that. We're asking to be held accountable for the things that we're saying. If we're putting stuff out there that's wrong, one of the things that I personally have been working on behind the scenes is people are looking to us and me for knowledge and as a guidance. And that's a lot of weight on your shoulders. I want to make sure that if someone's looking to us for guidance and information, that what we're putting out is factual and correct. So if she doesn't want to have a conversation, it's because she has a narrative. She's not a journalist. She's propaganda. If she's at a protest, is she at a protest because she's covering it, or is she a participant? There's a difference.
Well, yeah, and that, our whole thing was about the Daniel Penny case, and that was her thing. And she was like, I protested for the Daniel Penny case, as if that makes her a subject matter expert. But she, really didn't have a lot of the facts of the case. And then she got mad at me because I said, listen, she's like, well, just because the media got the Breonna Taylor case wrong, like what significant, like what globally changed, what nationally changed? I said, well, they burnt Louisville down. And she's like, nope, I'm not even having a discussion with you. Nope, they did not burn Louisville down. They did not burn the city of the ground. And I'm not going to have with misinformation, disinformation. I'm not even going to have a conversation. We're done. I was like, what? Because I think what I mean by they burnt it down. Like they rioted, they looted, they burnt down a police precinct. Like there was a lot of rioting going on. She's like, nope, I'm not even gonna have a conversation because it wasn't rioting. I was like, oh, were you in Louisville? And she was like, no, I was in New York. And I was like, so you don't know. Like I've had officers that were in the Breonna Taylor case on my show to tell me what the weeks after the Breonna Taylor case were like, going into witness protection, having the FBI having to protect you, knowing that you're getting charged with murder after you got shot by somebody that didn't answer a door, watching the news media spread absolute blatant lies about the Breonna Taylor case and having no way and having nobody to refute them or rebut them. Even Donald Trump bought into the media and was like, we're going to really look into these no-knock warrants, and we're going to put an end to these, because he even bought into the propaganda, which was the whole point, was to get rid of no-knock warrants because, the left wants to make crime easier to commit. And the safest way to combat crime for policing are these no-knock warrants in these very specific scenarios and situations that you have to have signed off by a judge and a DA, which are a lot of the time Democratic judges and DAs. And in the Breonna Taylor case, it was. I'm not going to go into that case, but anyway, that was the argument that I had with her. Let's go into this Matt Gaetz case quickly here. The man picked to be America's. This is coming from BBC, by the way. And I don't know if let me see if I can bring this up for you or not. Doesn't look like I have that one pulled up for you. So if you want to do this is come from bbc.com news articles. And you can just type in Matt Gaetz, Gaetz, and this will pop up for you. The man picked to be America's next top law enforcement officer, Matt Gaetz, is at the center of a number of allegations which could prevent him from getting the job. Here's all you need to know about them. The Florida lawmaker is the subject of a long-running investigation by a congressional ethics panel to a number of claims involving drugs, bribes, and sex. So here's the kind of the nuts and bolts of all of this is that Matt Gaetz had a party where this guy whose name was Greenwich?
Joel Greenberg.
Joel Greenberg allegedly pays for some sex, some people to come and party, some girls to come to this party. There's drugs at this party. There's girls at these parties, and he witnesses Matt Gaetz having sex with a girl who was 17-year-old at the time, who she now works as an OnlyFans influencer. So those are the allegations that there was these parties. Now listen, being in a weird influencer realm and being a very outgoing guy like myself, and then working also for a major podcast network that kind of I love Drinking Bros, and none of this was from Drinking Bros. So please don't try to put things together. I worked for Drinking Bros. I podcasted for Drinking Bros, which is kind of a party animal podcast network. And it's so much fun. And I've always been a big fan of Drinking Bros. And I'm still to this day stoked I ever got to even work there for 2 years and that they gave me this whole platform to talk on. So again, this has nothing to do with them, but because I align myself with them, people assume, or people judge me because of the way I acting at tailgates where I'm like, welcome to Drinking Bro Sports Tailgate Legend Show. We're live, baby. We're live from Vanderbilt. We got the drinks flowing. We're taking shots, because that was my stitch. That's what it was. It was a tailgating show where I crashed tailgates, brought in some kind of a minor celebrity to crash the tailgate to, ate their food, drank their beer, had women sitting on my lap, not by choice. They just came and sat on my lap or something like that. But it was like a party. That was the theme. That was the brand. But I didn't get drunk at these shows. I didn't do any drugs at these shows. It was an act. I acted like I was a college tailgate partier. But because of that, I was invited to parties because people thought this guy must party. Little do they know that I'm literally a homeschool dad of 5, husband of 1 wife. I'm actually pretty vanilla. My wife is a kind of an introvert. She's very quiet. She reads like 3 books a week. We homeschool, we home birth, we drink raw milk. Like, we're literally everything that the far left would have been back in the 60s, but they absolutely despise now. We're kind of like this crunchy, more spiritual religious. Like, I'm a believer in Jesus Christ and all these things. And so it's like, I have convictions and moral responsibility. So I'm just not that guy. But people didn't know that. People still don't know that. And I got invited to one party, and it was a little crazy. They had some strippers, and they had the waitresses that didn't have any clothes on, and it was weird. And I had to check my phone in and sign an NDA. And then I got invited to another party, but then I said, I won't sign an NDA. And they said, that's okay. Just come on by, but like, don't bring your phone. Fair. So I went because I thought maybe this one would be better. It was crazier. It was actually like they had like an area where they had like a shaman doing like DMT trips or something. I don't do drugs. I've never done drugs. Only thing I've ever done is like a marijuana Delta 9 chocolate when I broke my arm. Somebody was like, try this instead of the prescriptions. It'll make you feel better. All right. Like, I've never done anything else. I told you, I'm kind of vanilla, surprisingly. You don't have to believe me. But there was a lot of things going on, and I left. I was only there for like 20 minutes. I was like, oh, God, like, this is fucking wild. You guys have heard this story. I've told it before, and I left. And then I've been to some other parties that were just more like outs. But then, the witching hour approaches and the cocaine comes out. And, the one was at a very prominent restaurant. It was a very, very fancy restaurant. I was kind of playing sommelier because I'm a certified specialist in wine and a sommelier, and I'm very studied in wine and everything like that. And these were like really prominent figures in the community. These were like some, again, not politicians, but big business owners, wealthy folks. And everything was fine. It was good. I was picking out bottles for everybody. We were having a good time. It was great. And then all of a sudden, all the cocaine came out, and then some like wife swapping shit looked like it was starting to go down. And again, I backed out and I left. So I know that this is part of the culture for the rich elites. I've known that for the last 4 years. Matter of fact, one guy invited us onto his yacht. I've known better. I said, I'm not going on the yacht. My buddy was like, fuck it, I'm going on the yacht. My buddy sends me pictures. He's like, I shouldn't have gone on the yacht. Like, they were literally on this little yacht thing. The rich guy, had a black woman on a collar and a leash and was walking her on all 4s around the thing and then running lines of cocaine off of her ass. You know what I mean? Terrible things. Like, I'm so glad because I would have beaten the guy's ass, honestly. Like, I would have been like, I will fucking throw you off this boat. Like, get this woman that you've paid to treat her like this. You take her off that leash right now. Like, or I'm fucking like, I will pay her to take the leash off. Like, whatever you paid her, I don't even have that kind of money. But like, I wouldn't tolerate it. So I'm so glad I didn't go. And I don't go now. I don't go. If you invite me to a party, I don't go. I might make an appearance at like 7 p.m., 8 p.m. and I'm gone. I'm gone by 8:30, way before 9. Because I don't want to know. I don't want to see. I'm not getting involved. So I know that this is the culture. And that's why I tend to believe that these stories are probably somewhat true. Like the drugs, probably. But here's the say. I mean, it's not Minority Report. Just because you go to these parties, just because I've been there, like I can tell you. I can look you right in the eyes. I can put my hand on the Bible and tell you I did not partake in any of the sex. I did not partake in any of the drugs. And I did not partake in any of the debauchery except for maybe watching the strip show. I did do that. They did like they had some dancers come in and do it. But that was a surprise to me. I didn't even know that was going to happen. But yeah, I watched. Like, I'm not fucking gay. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, Josh? Like, I'm a rock, but I'm not a diamond. You know what I'm saying? Like, some new girl just wops out and starts dancing. I mean, I'm probably going to look, do one of these. I'm not looking. You know what I mean? So I say that to say that when I'm reading this, it's not like I disbelieve all of it. And I'm not taking Gaetz's page because I think a lot of these politicians, I mean, look, they're having sex on the House committee floor. Or what was it?
Well, you don't have to go look at Clinton.
Yeah, sticking cigars in girls' pussies and jizzing on their dresses. And, she's an unpaid intern, a 20-year-old unpaid intern giving beaches in the Oval Office. Like, what a power trip. Like, you're the king of the world, basically, because you're the top leader in the world, the president of the United States. Mm-hmm. And then you've got an unpaid 20-year-old intern and she's sucking your dick underneath the Oval Office table. I mean, that's bonkers. And then you go as far as to, put a cigar up in their twat. Like, that's crazy. Let me keep going with this. The Floridian has repeatedly and vehemently denied wrongful doing, casting the probe as an attempt to smear his name. by powerful enemies he has made in politics. He's also raised in his defense the fact that the DOJ ended a separate 3-year federal sex trafficking investigation last year by deciding not to bring charges against him. Lies were weaponized to try to destroy me. And here, this is honestly what I think, guys. Again, this is Eric's opinion. I think that when you start making a lot of money, you go to these parties and it is all 100% for blackmail. I got that the sense when I went to that one and it turned into an orgy. The guy that was there was like some kind of an older guy. I don't know who he was, but he was older. He's wearing a tuxedo. And just the way that he wanted me to go in the room to just see it gave me like the heebie-jeebies, like, I think this motherfucker is trying to like catch me doing something. So like that poses another question to me, because this happened with General, what was the general in the Afghanistan war? Anyway, he got caught like having an affair with like basically an Iranian spy or an Israeli spy chick. I forgot the general is. I've actually talked to him on FaceTime, which is pretty crazy cool. But I mean, he kind of admits it. Like he was seduced. He didn't know. Like he didn't know she was an insider. He thought, and it took her a long time. It took her like a year of working on his staff and of like, kind of picking at him and traveling with him before they finally have the affair. And then she just like, as soon as they have the affair, she comes out and exposes him, and they frickin' relieve him of his command and everything like that. I think that a lot of this is put in place for that reason. I think that's part of the culture, is so that they have something on you. It's like, and I see this on a small scale. I know I want to wrap this show up, but like, how many of you are in group chats where if that group chat gets leaked, you're all fucked. But if that one guy isn't producing like those memes that are super inappropriate and not safe for work, if he's not posting, you kick him out of the group and you start a new one without letting him know, because you know that if he hasn't put any fucking skin in the game, then like he's the one that can rat you out. You know what I mean? It's that same culture, but now into politics. So I'm not telling you that the Matt Gaetz is completely off the hook for what I'm telling you is that there's a lot more to this story. Just that this Joel Greenberg is literally a piece of shit who has literally been found guilty of the things that he's done and has multiple witnesses. And these cases are airtight cases that really show that he did do some really nefarious things, versus these cases like Russell Brand or some of these other guys that have been accused, because politics don't like them, they've been accused of sexual deviancy and sexual assault by like Justice Kavanaugh and things like that. Quickly, Josh, very quickly, what is your take on all that? Give us the Joel Greenberg. Give me that tweet you had earlier, coming from
Charlie Cook.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yep. So here are the facts. The report comes years after the DOJ dropped its investigation into the same claims. Why did the DOJ drop the investigation? Because the claims hinge on testimony of 2 witnesses who have such gaping credibility in their issues that even the Department of Justice, which hates Gaetz, knew no jury would even ever convict him. Who are the witnesses? Joel Greenberg, who has been described as one of the most corrupt Florida politicians of all time, who has literally made false sex allegation claims against a politician before. He's accused an innocent school teacher who was running against him for a tax collector of having sex with an underage student. Sound familiar? The judge called the lies downright evil. Greenberg became embroiled in a series of crimes and faced possible 27 years in federal prison. One of these crimes was having sex with an underage minor. The same 17-year-old girl who's the central character in the claims against Gaetz. But even Greenberg claims that he didn't know she was underage because she lied about her age. She's now actively on OnlyFans selling sexual access for money and has appeared in porn videos. Go figure. So back to what we were saying, it's 100% blackmail, because we can go to one of these parties and I can see you do something stupid and I can say, hey, Eric, man, hey, look at me, man. Hey, I'm going to be your number 2 guy from now on, or I'm telling Ashley about that thing you did at the party.
Right? Like, what if one of those strippers that they brought out at this party was like 17? I would have no idea. I would have no fucking idea. I didn't vet these people. I didn't do it. But I mean, like at the same time, that's why I leave. That's why I'm like, you know what? Fuck this, because I can leave with a conscience. I can look you right in the face and say, yeah, I saw this shit going on. I didn't know if she was 18 or not. She didn't look 18 to me. I fucking bounced, though. Like, fuck this. Like, I'm not getting involved in any of that. I'm not risking my 5 kids and my marriage to my wife. Anytime I even think a girl is pretty or I think she's hot, I immediately think, Yeah, but she's not hot enough that she would cook me breakfast every morning, bring me coffee to my podcast studio, put up with me writing a book, put up with me going to North Carolina, raise my 5 kids beautifully. Like, and then I literally am like disattracted once I start going on the rabbit hole of my thoughts. Listen, I've got to wrap this up. I think this is very funny and appropriate. I love it anytime that The View has to do something they don't like and they cry like a baby. And this is in response to Matt Gaetz. You're going to love this. This makes it all worth it.
Oh, thank you, Whoopi. Matt Gaetz has long denied all allegations, calling the claims, quote, invented, and saying in a statement to ABC News that this false smear following a 3-year criminal investigation should be viewed with great skepticism, that DOJ investigation was closed with no charges being brought.
Oh, Did you see your face? Face. Like, God, wear your emotions on your sleeve a little more, you coward.
Well, if you're going to go out there and go, hey, he's messing around with underage girls, better have your receipts.
Now listen,
if you're going to go out there and build a hill, you got to have the receipts to back it up, because if not, you're going to get out there and you go, this definitely is a legal notice, so we don't get sued.
We need to have in writing that our politicians, if they commit adultery, like the military, like there are consequences. If you're married and you're adulterous and you're cheating on your wife, how can I trust you to run the country? And I trust you with nuclear codes, but your wife can't even trust you from your promise to her. I think you have to be above the standard to be in these positions. And I think if while you're in these positions, you get caught cheating on your wife or your significant other, or you get caught like in some kind of real sexual deviant behavior while you're in office, you're out, you're done. Now, I'm not saying that we prejudge for what happened before you're in office, because I do believe people can change, right? There was a lot of shit I did in my 20s before I met my wife that I'm not extremely proud of. Luckily, none of them were illegal, but I'm definitely still not proud of them. But, you know, I'm not saying that you should, but while you're in office, if any of this stuff happens, you should immediately be relieved. You know, if it's found to be true and not just some kind of a smear campaign. But anyway, listen, you know, that's just me. I think we do need a more moral and just, political kind of union, a political group, whatever, however you want to say it, let both a bipartisan moral group of human beings that are running our country, and they're not making decisions with their dicks, because that's where spies and deals and back deals and bribery, all that comes from this stuff. And that's why term limits, right? Because it's probably unreasonable to think that you could go 30 years without doing something nefarious, trying some drugs or getting a BJ here or doing something there or talking to this person. Like, you know what I mean? It's probably unreasonable to think that many people in politics can withstand or can have that kind of discipline. So then you have term limits. You have like 4-year term limits. That way you only have to fucking pony up and do the right thing for 4 fucking years. And you should do it the rest of your life. But like, you know what I'm saying? And again, that goes back. Listen, been a great show. FAWKES News. If you want to help us, give us a 5-star rating or review on Spotify. If every single person that downloads this show on podcasts, and I saw the numbers, I saw the 28-day numbers. If every single one of you guys gave us a rating and review, 100%, we would be trending on the top charts. So with that being said, please, it's a free show. If you listen this far, come on. Go do it. Check out Shieldbox. Go follow Shieldbox. It's really cool. Christmas is coming. Now is the time to go ahead and get you that ghost bed. You can make payments on these bad boys. If your loved one, it comes in a beautiful box that will fit underneath a Christmas tree. And I'm telling you, dude, I'm not fucking joking. Ghost beds are literally the best thing on earth. I won't go back, right? Even the ghost bed pillow, you know, if you can't afford the ghost bed, the massage topper. I mean, these are the gift that literally you can enjoy every single night. And so it's like not just Christmas morning that you enjoy this gift, but it's like every night that you lay down, you go, oh, that was really good, babe. That was really good sex. I'm so glad we have a ghost bed. Or, man, that was the best sleep of my life. I'm so glad we have a ghost bed. Or, you know, you sit the rocker up into a position, you watch a podcast, you're like, man, I'm so glad we got this ghost bed with the adjustable base. Head over to ghostbed.com, use the promo code Wolfpack. Get it now. It's the gift that keeps on giving and giving and giving and giving. We love you guys so much. Office Joe out now. Go and download it. If you can't afford to download the $17, hit me up for a Venmo and I'll Venmo you the $17. And I want to do something right now. I want to give somebody a Office Joe Blu-ray. How do I do that? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go and follow The Bar is Open with Beth and Greg. I want you to go on YouTube right now. And I want you to subscribe. I want you to screenshot that you subscribe. I want you to take a picture of your subscription to The Bar is Open with Beth and Greg on YouTube. Then I want you to go over to podcasts and do the same thing. Screenshot that you gave them a 5-star rating or review. I will say, I don't know, the first 5 people that send me a screenshot that they have subscribed to The Bar is Open with Beth and Greg and that they have subscribed to the podcast, I will send you personally a DVD of Office Joe that I will sign, even though I'm only in like 3 episodes, but I'll get the writer and producer to sign it as well. And we will send it open. Here's what it looks like. The Bar is Open with Beth and Greg. Go over there, hit that subscribe button, and let's help them grow. They're brand new to our network. We want to see them grow. And again, if you're on Failure to Stop, I only did this for a benefit for today. You have to go to Fox because this is not going to be on Failure to Stop anymore. I'm only doing that just because a lot of you are watching this when it goes on Failure to Stop, but you're not watching it on FAWKES. I am separating news from Failure to Stop, and it is going on FAWKES. So you better go and subscribe. You are missing out on like 4 shows a week. We're doing tons of news updates right here on Fox, the news that you can trust, news with receipts, and some of them are short, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, just to give you an arguing chance at whoever is trying to debate your news. Also Greg and them at The Bar is Open do society and culture news, which we're going to try to incorporate more into this FAWKES news. Well, I do society and culture with JD and Margaret, but we want to start incorporating more of our society and culture with Beth and Greg because they're the real experts. So anyway, guys, thanks again. I got to get out of here. We've already ran over. We'll have a good show on Friday. Next week's going to be tipsy-turvy because I'm going to be with Mercury One and all those folks in Western North Carolina, trying to do the Lord's work with those folks. So, just stay with us, be patient, have a good week. Like G.I. Joe always says, he says it the best, right? Maybe you didn't know about the start of World War III, or maybe you didn't know about the allegations into Matt Gaetz. Maybe you didn't know that Nancy Pelosi admits that smear campaigns are real and that they use them all the time. But now you do know, and knowing is half the battle.